Welcome back everyone, and welcome to the Pink Lady Bakes Kitchen. Today we're going to talk about 3 tips for frosting. Okay, so rule number 1, do not overmix or overbeat your frosting. Your number 1 go-to is going to be the paddle attachment. Oftentimes your recipe might say whisk, but you're really going to want to stick with this paddle attachment because it's going to be your go-to because you don't want to incorporate too much air. Overbeating can cause too much air or the separation of your frosting, no matter if it's a buttercream or even a cream cheese. And that can cause just a texture change in your mouth as well as just too much air when you go to pipe. So, number 1, don't overbeat. Number 2, in the same theme of not overbeating, one of the reasons why we tend to overbeat our frosting is because there are clumps or there is texture in there that we're trying to get rid of. So if you find that's a common theme, maybe because you're trying out a new add-in, maybe a new instant pudding mix to try like a new flavor, trying to experiment with adding flavors maybe to your shelf-stable frosting recipe to try to add a new twist to it, and you're finding that clumping is coming because of the texture of it is causing like little nodules to form in it. Sift. Okay, if you have a big sifter like I do, or if you have one of those like small little tiny ones that can fit and you can kind of pour in as you need to go, whatever works for you. Or even if your confectioner sugar, you're finding that that's causing clumping, go ahead and sift it as you're adding it in. And remember, add it in slowly at a time, and that can help reduce clumping as you go so you're not over mixing and having any separation or excess of air in your frosting. Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3, our last one. Okay. Now in Virginia, depending on what kind of home-based baker you are, you may or may not be able to use products that require refrigeration, which means your frosting recipe might need to change. If that's the case, consider using, if you're not allowed to use refrigeration, like heavy cream or milk in your frosting, consider replacing and changing your recipe or altering it. And if you're out at the farmer's market, consider margarine or shortening. And I know somebody thinking, shortening, why? It's okay. Shortening can be a great thing for frosting and actually give us more of that store-bought frosting thing that we all loved as kids. So try considering shortening or doing maybe a butter shortening split to give you that better mouthfeel as you eat it if you're not a real big fan of shortening. But consider trying shortening if you're in a state or if you're in Virginia where you may not be able to use the same kind of recipe that you were using before for your own personal cakes. So again, consider maybe changing your recipe and looking at your local laws to see if you're allowed to consider using products that require refrigeration in your recipe. All right, that's it. Those are our 3 tips. Don't overbeat, sift when needed, and consider changing your recipe if you're no longer allowed to use refrigerated items in your frosting recipe. All right, bye for now.